This video is made for adult collectors because I guarantee this toy is older than like 40% of the people watching this video. So this Prime is not only one of the first movie toys we got, but it's also one of the first toys I ever made a video on. I mean, this Deco isn't the first Prime we got, but the mold is. And while I have already made a video on this like 6 years ago, it's shit. So let's go back and make a video on this guy, but properly, you know, with an actual format and a script and a planned out thing. I figured because this year was such a great year for the channel and for Transformers that I would look at something from my history, but do it better. That being said, this is the first proper Optimus Prime toy from the films, and oh boy, it's odd. But before we get started, this video is brought to you by Try Treats. Again, thank you very much. Try Treats is a snack company that delivers boxes of snacks to your door once a month, with a different country being the theme every month. And what's really funny about this time is they sent me Peru. And the postcard is some ruins from Peru in Machu Picchu. And this is really topical because Rise of the Beasts and stuff, and it was like Rise of the Beasts takes place in Peru, which this box just came at the perfect time because it arrived like a few days after the trailer came out. So now this is a Rise of the Beast snack box, and here's my dad eating some as usual.
Tiny. Oh god. Keeper. Oh, okay, I see. They're in a little container. The chocolate on the inside, which is really nice.
So yeah, if you want your own box, you can use the link in the description and use code THATTOYGUY in all caps for 15% off your first box. Thank you so much again for sponsoring today's video. Oh, and on a side note, there was a grammar mistake in the recipe card they sent, and it's referencing Bionicle, so Try Treats is now like my favorite food company. I gotta start out though with the squished face. It's too flat and weird looking. It's not like it has to fit in anywhere specific, so it has to be flat. It fits in this hollow empty space on the back, so I find it a bit of an odd choice. I feel like the stuff at the back of the truck might have been filled in a bit more originally, and that's why his face is so flat. This specific version is the Revenge of the Fallen one, and because the film was supposed to be this much darker story over the first one, that got reflected in a lot of the toys and even the packaging. And this guy's deco is a lot more grittier than the original mold, having darker and sandier grays, orange windows, met true red, and unfortunately no hole in the chest, 0 out of 10. There is a fair bit of tooling on display for a post-Cybertron mold, and most of it feels like it fits, but I find the shoulders to be a bit too messy because they have this big flat surface on the shoulder. They need to greeble that because it's a movie toy, but because it's a flat surface, it looks odd. If it was painted, it would probably be better, but it's palm, so it's not paintable, so pain. His guns are actually part of the alt mode, which is pretty neat. I do enjoy when they do that. He gets these two cannons that do fire missiles at a rather strong force for how old they are. Insert dick joke here. They are quite big though. Insert another dick joke here. And the way he holds them is just weird. So he has these open hands, and they are not 5mm compatible. So because of that, there's a peg on the arm that tabs into the gun, and the little handle nub thing slots into his hand, which is a pretty smart way of getting around the no 5mm hand issue, but like, why not just design the hands to be 5mm in the first place? Now the back. This was, and still is, the biggest complaint I see people have about this toy. It's large. It's a lot of truck just sitting there, and it can be unwieldy sometimes. Like if you have the knees bent forward in like a pose, he's going to fall over. Not to mention the weapon storage on the back here is just makes it even worse, so he just falls even more. The legs, they're neat. I like how the knee pads aren't fake parts because they do that a lot, and while I don't really care about fake bits, I still like how they tried here. The Automorph though does get in the way. There's a fly in the office. The Automorph does get in the way of handling the legs because you can unpeg it, press it, you can drop a figure on the floor, and it all just feels a tad unstable. Like, he has no problem standing. He's not going to collapse with the legs. But the unstable part is like the side bits move and all that. You bend the knee, it'll untab. It's just weird and annoying.
So this being 2007, it's not exactly the most posable thing in the world. You're definitely not going to be getting something to the level of this. you're not even going to be getting something to the level of this. But it's still pretty neat. This lower half is a little limited though. You got a rotation of the head. Cool. Shoulders can do full 360s, shoulder pads move, and they can go out. Now, these don't really peg in very well, at least not on this copy or the copy I had last time. So this comes undone quite a bit, especially on this side. Like, you can hear it peg in. And then it just unsnaps itself. This side just straight up doesn't go in. Like, no matter how hard I try, it just doesn't go in. And then these don't lock in either words. However, that gives you a butterfly joint-ish. So that's nice. However, I don't know what you would use it for. You got bicep rotation. These panels move a lot when you're trying to like go around. You'll push them in, and because they're on friction joints here, you tend to push them past the point that they're supposed to be. So it's a little bit annoying. You got an elbow bend that goes 90 degrees, and the wrists are on ball joints. So you got a wrist swivel and tilt in and out. So he can do this hand gesture. He's got nothing at the waist, but he has an ab crunch, kinda. I don't know if you'd count that as an ab crunch, but he can do that. Ooh, look at me. I'm Optimus. Okay. Yeah, no waist rotation. Hips are ratcheted. Then they go in and out on a friction joint. You have thigh rotation, and I like the way that the sculpt is done here. I like when they do this. I don't know why they don't do it any more often. But they got thigh swivel, the wheels, the knee bends just a little under 90 degrees, and you have this little knee pad thing here that's sort of just like sticking out, which is actually pretty neat. I don't know, I like that little detail there. And then the feet, they move down, but like they don't really accomplish much. There you go, T-posing Optimus. It's Jesus Prime. But yeah, it's posable to a point, but because the legs are so like limited, you can kind of get him into some decent looking things, but nowhere near something like this nowadays. But hey, that's God, modern engineering, right? That's what you get. Still fun. Like, he feels nice to move around. It's just these leg bits are a bit annoying and the shoulders are a bit annoying.
Transformation is pretty straightforward. A lot of just tucking the arms away and folding the legs over, but at least this transformation is film accurate to one scene in Revenge of the Fallen. I made this reference in my original video, but that's purely by coincidence, but here you can see the legs and feet coming off the back of the truck and flipping around, kind of like how the toy does it. It's neat. Again, it's probably purely coincidental, but that's still pretty cool. Truck mode, it actually looks pretty nice. It's chunky and it's red, and the tattoos are a nice touch. I believe they are characters from a Chinese language, according to the wiki. I could be wrong though, don't quote me on that. I do kind of like when they put like language tattoos on these guys. I specifically love the Cybertronian tattoos. I think that's a really cool look. I do like the swoopy front nature of the sleeper cab on the top. It looks more like trucks I see driving around here in Ontario. The Autobot symbol is probably the cleanest I've seen it on the front grille of a Prime toy. The addition of the red paint behind it really helps it pop more. I love the way that looks. While the sandy gray looked fine in robot mode, I feel like it looks a bit out of place in the alt mode, considering they tried to match the color of the sun visor on top here with a silvery sort of sand color, but it doesn't really work. It feels a tad bit disoriented. Now the gimmicks. The truck has a couple of those too, and they are very cool.
So gimmicks, this guy has quite a few. Well, by quite a few I mean 2, but there's still quite a lot for a truck mode, considering he didn't have any, except I don't know if you count weapon storage as a gimmick. But these are the weapons, right? And you can fold them like back into guns, break them. Okay, you can just fold them forward like this. You can flare them out. Now he's got these massive guns on the front of the truck, and he can come and he can just like just stab you with his sheer might and then shoot you. I actually shot the lens. Now the coolest gimmick I think I've seen on a toy in a while is this. You got a driver in there with a cowboy hat, and I believe that's a reference to the hologram pilot he has in the comic books, which is Peter Cullen wearing a cowboy hat. So that's a little figure of Peter Cullen. When you open the door, I don't know how I can show this off without covering it. Driver's gone. Driver's missing. There's a seat right there. Because, close the door, driver's back. It's like a hologram driver. That's really cool. I really like it's just pressing this little button here to flip the thing. That's just neat. That's a really neat gimmick. I'm surprised I didn't do it more on other toys. Get out of here. I'm surprised I didn't do it more on other toys, because that would have been cool, but oh well.
Now, they did a million redecos of this and one canceled Jetwing version that I'm so sad never got made, but there's a ton of options out there if you want to get the OG version of this. It's not expensive either, depending on which version you get. The common ones I see are this and the regular Movie 1 version and that orange one, but should you even buy it? If you want a good prime for posing and intricate transformation and accuracy, then no, this doesn't really offer any of that. But if you want a chunky prime that's at least easy to flick between modes and does some interesting stuff, then yeah, this guy's pretty good for that. Like 50 max sealed and 30 max used is what I would say this thing is worth. But that's been my look at 2007 Voyager Optimus Prime. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.